I'd met Laura Jo a couple times, and if you haven't heard the first story about Laura Jo, you need to go back and listen to that story first. But she was a senior pastor in the Three Self Church in Lanzhou and was also the head of a group of about 100 house churches in Lanzhou. And I had a group of Korean Americans from Chicago who wanted to come and teach English, and we had worked out a deal where they were going to teach in Lanzhou at the Glacial Institute. There's 6,000 glaciers in China, in the western and southern parts of the Himalayas and all those areas. So they have an institute called the Glacial Institute, and they have a lot of graduate students, and we were going to teach English there. Well, it's sort of sensitive. I have a Christian background, missionary background, and these 10 young people from the Covenant Church in Chicago, they were almost all Koreans. And they were arriving in Taiyuan, and they arrived in Taiyuan and asked me, "So how's everything going?" And I said, "Well, your teaching job fell apart. I'm working on a replacement job. But everything that we were lined up for housing, for teaching is all gone. So who else do I know besides the Glacial Institute in Lanzhou?" "Oh, I know Laura Jo." So I called up Laura Jo, and she goes, "Sure, Finn, I'll work on getting something for you." And so she contacted the University of Gansu Province, and they said, "Oh, we have 135 graduate students, and they all have to study in English, and their English is terrible. Bring your English teachers out." So we get out to Lanzhou, we get to the University of Gansu Province, and I'm sitting over talking with Laura Jo at another table, because we're using Chinese mostly, because we're dealing with the university professor and the different ones. And they're going, "So, Mr. Finn, who are you?" And I told them the story of Evergreen and my family. And then Laura Jo, "Now, why do you look familiar?" And she said, "Well, I'm Laura Jo. I used to be the professor of English at the University of Gansu. And I have been running orphanages. I've been running the church. I've been doing all these things these last few years." The head of the school, the University of Gansu, started crying. I had wondered, his English was so good. He looked at Laura Jo and he said, "You were my teacher. Whatever you want to do here, you can do. You were the best teacher I ever had." And the 135 graduate students, it was going to be a 2-week-long course, so the weekend in between, on Sunday, they are going to your church. I'm a Communist Party leader, so I cannot go publicly, but all my students are going to go to your church. They need to know who you are and what you believe. I tried to explain this to the Korean students from Chicago. They weren't students, Korean professionals from Chicago. And they go, "This isn't the China we heard about. It's so different." When God moves and God works, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And those students got to go to church maybe for the first time in their life. Laura Jo impacted that city of Lanzhou and the province of Gansu like no one else I know. Maybe she's home with the Lord now already, maybe not. But probably one of the most amazing people I ever met. Pray for Gansu. Pray for Lanzhou. Thank you.